What's up, y'all? It's your man, JoJo Mason, and I am an ambassador of compassion. I'm a country music artist in Canada. I have gone on multiple nationwide tours. I've headlined my own nationwide tour. I've amassed over 75 million streams, and I found something that I absolutely love. But my story is a little bit different. I was a hockey player, riddled with injuries that led to all kinds of depression. I ended up abusing drugs and alcohol for a number of months, just trying to cope. I felt like I lost my identity. But I had my mother, my best friend, in my corner, and she was one of those people who just refused to quit on me. We did a crazy detox at home, and I got a bunch of rehabilitation for my injuries, and I started feeling okay again. Started working at a local pub, and a friend of mine invited me to a Christmas party. So I went to this Christmas party where I met a producer. Now at the time, I had never sung for anybody in my life. I wasn't a singer, I had no aspirations of singing. At the end of the night, he kind of said to me, he said, "Man, it's too bad you're not a singer, because you got something." I said, "Well, shoot, I could try." We exchanged information. Set up a time to meet the next day, and from there, my music career started. I was the most excited I'd ever been. My family got hit with a crazy tragedy amidst this whole thing. I'll never forget, y'all. I was laying in bed, and I get a call from my mom. She says to me, "Don't panic. Your uncle has been captured by a terrorist group affiliated with Al-Qaeda." I said, "Huh?" She said, I could tell by the tone of her voice that this was not a joke. She said they received email confirmation and video confirmation that they had taken him along with 3 other captives. And there was a video on her email of them on their knees, machete at his throat, machine guns behind him, the masks wrapped around. I swear it was a movie. And he's begging for his life. They wanted $10 million. Who has $10 million, right? So for the course of 8 months, they put out video after video, begging for their lives. I could watch my uncle get smaller and smaller, skinnier and skinnier, until the last video they put out. I watched my uncle get his head cut off, okay? We couldn't come up with the money. And I sat at home, I was helpless, I couldn't do nothing. All the while, I'm supposed to be getting excited about recording. I'm supposed to be getting excited about my future. I'm supposed to be getting excited about touring and this new album and going to Nashville. And I'm supposed to be excited about all this stuff. Meanwhile, I'm broken, man. Like the last video was of my uncle being beheaded. And I carry that with me, right? Every day. The hardest part of this whole thing was trying to manage my emotions, was trying to be strong, not only for myself, but to try to be there for my mother. My mother's my best friend, be there for my family. I had to watch her. I had to watch her go through this too, right? Life is full of crazy obstacles, but you always have a choice. And I knew that I had a choice, and I'm very proud of how I handled that situation, right? Do I still cry about it? Yeah. Does it still hurt? Of course, yeah. But I chose to not let it break me. I chose to keep fighting for my dreams. I chose to make my uncle proud. I chose to show my mom that no matter what you go through, excuse me, chose to show my mother that no matter what we go through, we'll always be okay. You have choices to make. So I buried myself in my work. I wrote like I had never written. I had sang like I had never sang before. And I continued to chase my dreams, and I refused to let my circumstances define me, define my path, and to define my dreams, right? I wasn't gonna be a victim of my circumstances, right? Most of the time we don't get to choose. But what we do get to choose is how we deal. And I chose to deal with it a certain way. You don't have to let the trauma and the things that happen to you define you. Let it shape you, of course, yeah, because it's part of you. It's just like this is always gonna be part of me. I chose to dive into my work, dive into my labor, because I knew that if I continued to fight and I continued to work and I continued to put in the time, that I was gonna be okay. I was gonna be successful. I was gonna make it. My name is JoJo Mason, and I am an ambassador of compassion. Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah. Never shared that before.
Not publicly. There's a handful of people that know this about me. And, I think if I could tell somebody, especially younger me, that we can go through all of this and still be here, things are gonna be okay, man. My dad always said, my father always told me, you never waste a tragedy. And I chose not to. I chose to take this. And I chose to use it as fuel instead of letting it cripple me, instead of letting it break me, instead of letting it crush me. I chose to fight. Again, I chose not to be a victim of my circumstances and a victim of my tragedies. I wasn't about to let it define me. And again, here we are, 8 years later, and we're still rolling. We're still fighting. We're still chasing. And it's still exciting, right?